Hey guys, this is Will at Third and Long. Today we are going to be looking at the Week 4 NFL scores. Who will win, who will lose, and what the final scores will be. So hit that like button and subscribe, and let's get started. So the very first game that we'll be looking at is the Thursday night game at 8:15 on Prime. We have the Detroit Lions at 2-1 at the 2-1 Green Bay Packers. So don't forget that last year it was the Lions who knocked the Packers out of the potential playoff berth. So there's a little revenge here, but Rodgers is now gone. This game to me is kind of a 50-50 game, so it all comes down to quarterback play. Will it be Goff? Will it be Love? Both teams really have no running game, so the way that I see it is this is going to kind of come down to who has the better defensive line, who can force the late turnover to get the win. Like I said, I think it's a 50-50, but I think it's the Green Bay Packers pass rush that will force the late turnover. Packers will get the win 23-20. Now we're moving on to Sunday, and we have at 9:30 a.m. This game is in London. We have the Atlanta Falcons at 2-1 playing the 1-2 Jacksonville Jaguars. No one really thought that the Jaguars were going to be 1-2 at this point of the year. They've had a lot of problems, but the Falcons have problems also. So who is Desmond Ridder, basically? He never throws the ball. He has all of the first-round talent that you could ask for as a quarterback, and they refuse to throw the ball with him. So he just kind of sits back there, and they basically try to hide his deficiencies through the running game, basically, to kind of take the ball out of his hands. But just like we saw last week, if you take the running game from the Falcons, they have no identity. Ridder cannot win the game. The Jags are a lot better than they've been playing. Lawrence has been playing awful, bad coaching decisions, defenses look bad, but I think it's Trevor Lawrence, Calvin Ridley that should carry this game, and they force the Falcons to have to throw the ball, and that's why the Jags win. Jags will ultimately win 27-17. The next game we have is the 1 p.m. game on CBS. We have the Miami Dolphins playing the Buffalo Bills. So this game basically has the trappings to be a complete shootout, kind of reminiscent of the Chargers-Dolphins Week 1 game. Both teams are loaded at quarterback, wide receiver, set at running back. So this is definitely going to be a passing game. But don't forget that the Dolphins just scored 70 points last week. So they were 2 points off from breaking the NFL points record for one game. And they did that without Waddle. Now, will Waddle be back for Week 4? Potentially. So he is still in concussion protocol since he got hurt in the fourth quarter versus the Patriots. I'd say it's probably 50-50, but they scored 70 without Waddle. So what if they get Waddle back? The Dolphins defense has been humming this year. Tua is having a great season, a MVP type season. Obviously, that can't last every game. So they're due to have a bad game where they have some turnovers, Tua doesn't look good. That's just bound to happen. Will it be this week? Will it be versus the Buffaloes who, if you mess up, they have the offense to make you pay for it, basically. This is another game to me that's kind of a 50-50 game. Now, the Dolphins are hurting at cornerback, wide receiver, so it's a toss-up here. Bills definitely have a capable offense to keep up with the Dolphins. So I kind of went back and forth, but I ultimately think, just like the Chargers game, that Miami will win about 30-27, but I could also see that going the other way. But I just think that the Dolphins are playing better than the Bills, and really the Dolphins to me have the better defense right now. So Dolphins win 30-27. Next game we have at 1 p.m. on CBS, we have the battle of the 0-3 teams. We have the Denver Broncos at 0-3 versus the Bears at 0-3. So both of these teams are searching for their first win. Now, this is just like I said before the season started. Sean Payton is overrated. He basically rode Drew Brees' heels for 20 years, and it only got them one Super Bowl. So Russell Wilson does look better than last year, but let's be honest, guys, he doesn't look that much better. He's not having a great season. He has 791 yards, 6 touchdowns, 2 picks, so he's definitely doing better, but it really doesn't matter because the Broncos stink. And Fields, they're doing no better. So it's not like the Bears have a better offense. So both teams have a bad offense. Both teams have no rush offense. Both teams' defenses are complete train wrecks. I'd probably say that the Broncos' defense is worse, but both teams stink, and they're both looking for their first win. So basically, what's going to happen this game? I think ultimately, if you pit Russell Wilson versus Justin Fields, Russell Wilson's experience should get the win. The Broncos will win 24-20. I think the winner of this game is Nathaniel Hackett, because it shows that so far, he wasn't the problem last year, but the problem was elsewhere, and Sean Payton talked a lot of trash this offseason, and so far, he looks like the clown. But like I said, Broncos win 24-20. The next game we have at 1 p.m. on CBS, we have the 2-1 Baltimore Ravens at the 2-1 Cleveland Browns. So the Ravens are pretty banged up here. They're banged up at running back, the offensive line, wide receiver. They have no rush offense, basically. They have no one to run the ball. So Jackson definitely has his work cut out for him this week. He's pretty much had it cut out for him every single week. They are favored to win as of right now, but the Browns, they don't want to hear it. They have Chubb out, they have Conklin out, so they're just as banged up, but maybe just a little bit less. Now, Watson did have his best game of the year last week. He finally had a good game. He had no good games last year, no good games so far this year. He finally had a good game. So is that possibly a light at the end of the tunnel? Will Watson be getting back to his Texans days? I don't know, but definitely that was a big step forward. So I think it's Watson playing better, the Browns not being as banged up, and the Browns' defensive line led by Myles Garrett. That's what's going to make the difference, because the Ravens' O-line right now is hurt. So I think Myles Garrett pressure will force rushed passes. Browns will win in a very close one, 24-20. Next game we have at 1 p.m. on Fox. We have the Cincinnati Bengals at 1-2 at the Tennessee Titans at 1-2. Both teams are 1-2. The Bengals did finally get their first win on Monday night. So the Bengals are on short rest here. What does that mean for Joe Burrow and his injury? Potentially things could be rushed there, but they got their win Monday night. Burrow had his most Burrow-like game so far this year. So that's definitely good news for all Bengals fans. Now, the Bengals basically have no rush offense. They're not a run-first team, so the Titans' defensive line and their rush defense is really worthless, because the Bengals don't have to run the ball to beat you. They definitely will try to beat you vertical with Burrow and with Chase. So that negates the Titans' greatest strength, which like I said, is their run defense. Now, Tannehill and the Titans are basically stranded. They are rudderless. They have no identity, because Tannehill is a horrible quarterback, and he always has been. They should have never signed him to a long-term deal. Basically, Tannehill is what Ritter is like setting up to be, basically. They just need a good run game, and they're just there to throw about 15 passes per game. But Derrick Henry's like 50 years old at this point, and they rode him into the floor. They forced that guy to do everything on the team, completely carry the offense on his shoulders, and they wasted his best years. So I think that will definitely hurt him here. Now, Vrabel is still a great coach, but it's time to pull the plug, and it's time to start over. So I think the Bengals get the win, and they get the win convincingly, 31-17. Next game we have at 1 p.m. on Fox. We have the LA Rams visiting the Colts. So the Rams lost Monday night. Stafford will be looking to get some revenge there. Now, they are on the short week, but the Colts are pretty banged up. So Jonathan Taylor still not playing. I think this is the last week that he has to sit out. So he should be back next week, but he's not playing this week. Anthony Richardson, will he play? Will he not play? We don't know yet. But no matter what, Gardner Minshew's a pretty good backup. He won this past weekend. He's had a lot of victories places, so he can definitely come in and win. So who's going to get the win here? I definitely think that the Colts can pull it out. They have showed that they can pull it out. But I think Stafford should know how to beat the banged-up Colts. And the Rams will get the win, and they will move to 2-2, and they'll win 24-20. Next game we have at 1 p.m. on Fox, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 2-1 visiting the 2-1 Saints. It seems like there's like half of the quarterbacks in the league are banged up right now. But Derek Carr is still hurt, probably won't play, but he might play. But as of right now, he probably won't play. Now, Winston came in and played like 2.5 quarters last week and sucked it up. It seems like he's getting worse every single year. He didn't get 1 point. Couldn't even muster a field goal. So can you have confidence in him playing versus the Buccaneers defense? No. So just now, they will have Kamara back, so that's definitely a big help for the Saints and definitely a big help for Winston to have a good running game going there and someone to dump the ball off to. Bucks have a pretty good defense, though. So I think the defense, and then Baker Mayfield is definitely serviceable. There's good Baker. There's bad Baker. Which one shows up? I think good Baker shows up. They want to take advantage of the Saints while they're down. Bucks get the win 21-17. Next game we have at 1 p.m. on Fox, we have the Washington Commanders at 2-1 versus the Eagles at 3-0. So let's be honest here. The Washington Commanders, they're just not very good at all. They're not good on offense. They have no O-line. They have no run game. Sam Howell's just basically a punching bag back there. Their defense is Swiss cheese. So what are they going to do to stop the runner-ups to the Super Bowl? I think the Eagles will be able to do whatever they want. They'll be able to throw the ball. They'll be able to run the ball. They'll be able to play great special teams and just keep the ball out of Washington's hands. So I think the Eagles should cruise to a pretty easy win here, 27-14. Next game we have at 1 p.m. on Fox, we have the Minnesota Vikings at 0-3 versus the Carolina Panthers at 0-3. Vikings definitely should not have started the year winless so far, but this is another battle of the 0-3 teams. Now, the Vikings, every game they play is close. It's always a shootout, whether they play a crappy team, whether they play a good team, it's always a one-possession game. But there is one thing we do know. Kirk Cousins will throw for 350 yards. He's throwing for 350 yards every single game this season. So they're going to light it up, and he is definitely going to get some fantasy stats. And that should continue going into this week. Panthers secondary is complete garbage. Panthers don't have the weapons to keep up with the Vikings. Will Bryce Young play? Maybe. He's supposedly still hurt. Will it be Dalton? Does it even matter? No. So the Vikings should cruise to their first win of the year here. They'll win 31-20. Next game we have at 1 p.m. on CBS, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers at 2-1 versus the Texans at 1-2. Both teams just had good weeks. Kenny Pickett probably just had his best game as a Steeler. He finally had a good game. Finally lived up to some of that hype. Am I buying that to be a common thing, though? No. Now, Stroud and the Texans just beat the Jags in Jacksonville. Stroud's probably having the best year of the rookie quarterbacks. Definitely playing at a very high level. Texan fans should be pretty pumped up, but that's not going to happen every single week, and the guy is a rookie. So who's going to win here? What's going to make the difference? I think it's going to be TJ Watt and that Steelers defense that should make the difference. They'll get a late turnover from Stroud, and they'll win 24-17. Next game we have at 4:05 p.m. We have the Las Vegas Raiders at 1-2 versus the Chargers at 1-2. So Jimmy G, he's hurt too. Does he play? Does that matter? I don't know. He's just kind of a serviceable quarterback. Now the Raiders are loaded with weapons. They have Myers, Adams, Jacobs, but has that helped them so far? No. Chargers have just as many weapons. They have one of the better wide receiver cores in the country. Both teams can't stop anyone to save their life. So this definitely has the trappings to potentially be a shootout. But the Chargers do have Justin Herbert. He had a really good game last week. Michael Williams is out for the year probably. But you know what? He's always hurt. So they're pretty used to that. So I think the Chargers find a way to win. Eckler could be back this week, so if he does come back, that's just another weapon for the Chargers. Chargers will find a way to win 31-27, so another shootout. Next game we have at 4:25 on Fox, we have the New England Patriots 1-2 versus the Cowboys at 2-1. So the Cowboys just got smacked around by the Cardinals. Yes, that really happened. So what's going to happen to the Cowboys here? It can go 50-50, one of two ways. Either they rebound and get back to form, or they completely free fall. But like I said, I think it's 50-50. You're hearing no trash talk from the Cowboy fans right now after what happened last week. I think ultimately Belichick's going to smell blood in the water here. They will be coming after Dak Prescott. They will be forcing him to have to win the game. And so far, he's been cracking under pressure. I think the Patriots pull it out 23-20. I'm not confident there in that. It can definitely be the other way, but the Cowboys need to get the offensive going. They've been relying on their defense too much. If you force it into a low-scoring game, will Dak Prescott win the game? I think Pats win 23-20. Next game we have at 4:25 on Fox, the Arizona Cardinals at the 49ers. So the Cardinals just beat the Cowboys. So are they back? Is this the start of something big? No. Cardinals got lucky last week. That's definitely not going to happen versus the 49ers. 49ers are the most rounded team. They're completely humming along this year. They're going to beat the crap out of the Cardinals. They have weapons, they have an offense, and they have a defense, and they have special teams. So the Cardinals have no chance to win here, and the 49ers will beat them up 34-14. Next game we have at 8:20 p.m. on NBC. We have the Kansas City Chiefs 2-1 at the Jets at 1-2. So this was supposed to be Mahomes versus Rodgers, but we were robbed of that, and now we have Mahomes versus Zach Wilson, and that's just a bad joke. So the Jets have a really good defense. That's going to try to keep the game low scoring, and that's going to keep them in the game for the majority of the game. But Wilson will have a pick, and they won't be able to get first downs. And Chris Jones and that defense is going to torture Zach Wilson. Chiefs are going to run away at the very end. I'm going to say 24-10. We finally only have one game on Monday night this week, thankfully. We have the Seattle Seahawks at 2-1 versus the Giants at 1-2. Now, Seahawks laid an egg week 1, but they have rebounded since then. They've been very balanced. They've been good throwing the ball. They've been good running the ball. So everything's looking pretty good for the Seahawks now as they start moving towards the middle of the season. The Giants, sheesh. So Daniel Jones, I said it before, he was a waste of money. They should not have signed him to that contract. Barkley is out. Without Barkley, who is Daniel Jones? He's nothing, basically. He's just a guy back there passing the ball, running for about 60 yards per game. So I think the Giants are definitely hurting without a running game because it's the running game that opens things up for Daniel Jones. So Seahawks are the better rounded team, but the Giants are not a pushover. They are definitely better than they've been playing. So the talent is there. They can rise to the occasion. So this game is almost another 50-50, but I think the Seahawks will ultimately pull it out 27-24. So that's my breakdown of the Week 4 NFL games. Hit that like button and subscribe. Thanks.